Hello, and thank you very much to everyone who bought my Lightroom film presets. I very much appreciate that. Thank you for all the positive feedback. A lot of people have been asking about if they can get versions of them to use on video, so I've made some LUTs. But what are LUTs? Well, if you're anything like me, you'll have heard the term LUTs used around the place and you won't really have understood what it meant. For example, on my bus stop it tells me that Sharon's a dirty LUT, and a friendly stranger would often approach me at a bar and tell me, your mum's a LUT. So I looked this up, and LUT stands for look up table, and they work something like this. So to explain it in the simplest way possible, a LUT is basically a modification file that takes either a piece of video or an image and tells the colours of it to appear in a certain way. So this can emulate Lightroom presets to a certain degree in that it can take kind of tone and colour and change it, but it can't do things like add grain and look at the whole haze thing and vignettes and all sorts of other things. So I can only really take part of my Lightroom presets and put them into LUTs. So that's what I've done. I've picked the ones that function best on their colour and tone, and I've made them into LUTs. But what I've also done is create a file that you can download that has grain and a bit of kind of analog dust that you can put over the top of your footage. And I'm also going to show you a way to make your footage have that slight filmy haze. So let me show you what you get in the download and how to work with it. So when you download the file, you'll get a folder called JW Film Look LUTs. In that folder you have 3 other folders, one on cinematic ratios, one with dust and grain, and one with the LUTs themselves. The cinematic ratios have 2 PNG files which you can place over your footage, one at 1080p, one at 4K, and they give you a 2.35:1 ratio, which is a sort of standard cinematic ratio. The dust and grain folder has a 4K 10-second loop of dust and grain. I'll show you how to use that in a minute. And the LUTs folder has 8 different LUTs. You've got your CineStill 50D, Fujichrome Astia 100F, Kodak Color Gold, Kodak Ektar 100, Kodak Portra 160, Kodak Portra 400, and 2 black and whites, which are the Kodak Tri-X 400 and the Polaroid 665. These are 64-bit LUTs, which are .cube files, and they should work across a whole host of video editing software and image editing software. You can open them up in Photoshop, or you can open them up in Final Cut or After Effects or whatever you're using. I'm using Premiere, so we'll work with that. So I've just quickly cut together a load of meaningless random footage to show you how these LUT files work. Now these LUT files are for colour grading, not colour correction. The colour correction is what you do to a clip to make it look normal if you shoot it in a profile maybe like log or some kind of flat profile, or you want one camera to look like another camera. Colour grading is the creative part where you add a feel and a tone to your footage. So I've got this footage here which I've shot in log, so I'll just add a quick bit of correction because these LUTs are designed to work on colour corrected footage. So you need to do that to your footage first if you shot in log or in a flat profile. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Lumetri colour, and you've got an input LUT here, but that's not the one we want to use. That is for colour correction. We want colour grading. So in the creative, if you've got a look here, you click that and click browse. I'm going to open up my Film Look LUTs. I'm going to add a Portra 160 to that. And there we go, that's the Portra 160 look. So if I were to change that to something else, maybe an Astia 100F. Now it looks like this. To browse again, maybe we go for a Polaroid 665. Once you've got your LUT on there, you can still play around with your footage until it looks right. Unfortunately, there's no such thing as a one-click fix-all solution in any video. It depends completely on how your clip was shot and the LUT you are using. So I'm going to add a CineStill 50D LUT to this footage. Gives it a bit of a retro kind of look. Very nice sort of autumnal colours there. So now let me show you how to use the grain and the ratios. So I'm going to drag these folders into the project, and in this dust and grain folder I'm going to put this 10-second loop over the top of this footage. So yeah, as you can see now, we've got a completely grey screen, so what we need to do is go to our blending mode and we're going to go to soft light. And because this footage is 1080p and the film grain is 4K, it's cropped in, which gives you a bit of a sort of 16mm kind of look to the grain. If I were to click this footage and go set to frame size, it will scale it down, giving you more of a 35mm film look. So we're going to our ratios folder. I'm going to put the 1080p crop lines over the top. You can drag that out to the length of your footage, and there you have a cinematic letterbox format. So as the haze from my Lightroom presets doesn't come through the LUT, what you can do is you can duplicate the bottom video layer. I'm going to go to my effects and I'm going to search for a blur. Just a simple Gaussian blur is fine. I'm going to push the blur up to about there, and then I'm going to make the opacity maybe somewhere around 11. And then you can change the blend mode to something like screen if you want it a bit lighter. Now you've just got a little bit of haze. It's quite subtle, but it just merges the colours slightly. It just gives it that kind of hazy film look. So let me show you what this footage looks like with the 8 different LUTs applied to it. So this wasn't a video I originally planned to make. I'm just responding to requests from people who wanted to use my Lightroom presets on their video footage. Hopefully this will work for you. If you want to download these LUTs, you can get them in the link just below this video. If you haven't seen my original video on my Lightroom presets, you can see it just here. And I'll be back soon when normal service will resume, and I'll make a video to do with photography about something interesting, and I won't be trying to sell you something like I seem to be doing recently. Okay, so I'll see you later.